Our next speaker, Ken Dooley, who is Technology Director for Granlund, is going to be talking about starting with the user experience, lessons from a smart campus. Now, Dr. Ken Dooley serves as the Technology Director at Granlund in Helsinki. And if you think you had troubles getting here, you should have seen the troubles from getting here from Finland this week. Ken, the Granlund company that Ken works for is a group of companies that specializes in construction and real estate sector with expertise in technical building services, design, property, energy, environmental consultation, software renovation. They employ more than 900 professionals in Finland, Scandinavia, UK, Asia, and Middle East. And within Granlund's Department of Innovation and Development, Ken's work involves research, lean experimentation, collaboration with startups, and the development of Granlund's future products and services. He focuses on the built environment, mostly in the end-user solutions in energy, circular economy, IoT, data analytics, and AI. And in his postdoctoral research in Finland, he studies the development in smart buildings, smart city services, digital user experience, and the sharing economy. Ken, welcome to our stage.
Super.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. That was a long introduction. I hope everyone's still awake. I feel like it's been a long day. So we're kind of coming at the smart building story as part of those people that were trying to build the hype. We have a similar role to Matthew and WSP. We kind of saw as building designers, as engineers who were designing kind of building services or MEP or HVAC or whatever you want to call it, that this was something that was an extension of our existing services. And as a company that we think we're one of the best guys in our market, we want to kind of really prioritize and really focus on being the best kind of smart building consultants and designers in the Nordics a couple of years ago. So we started off with kind of a dialogue around where's the wow effect, where's the kind of game changer that smart buildings will bring. So we were part of these hype people. We did a white paper about 3 years ago. I've just tweeted a link. It was with Delft University, it was with Aalto University and ourselves. And we kind of were talking about, so we turn on the lights with our voices, so what? Or yeah, like the classic, your access control, you walk into a building and it makes the coffee near your desk. Kind of, okay, so what? Where's the massive change that sort of smart buildings is going to bring? One of the things we came up then was that from a workplace point of view, that the location of your smartness, it changes. It needs to be wider. It needs to be your smart employee experience. It needs to help you to be smart when you're at home, working from home, or working from a co-working place, or working from a coffee shop in Amsterdam. Or it needs to be able to help you kind of get home in the evening, and that might be having Amazon deliver stuff to your office building, so you don't have to go pick it up in a post office on the way home or whatever. So really kind of extending the length of the day. Your assistant should tell you if you need to be in Rotterdam at kind of 9 a.m. for a meeting. If you're still at home at 7 a.m., maybe your assistant says, hey, shouldn't you be on the motorway or in a train? So really helping you in the morning, really helping you in the evening. And then there was this kind of cumulative effect that all the technologies and all the solutions together really had this kind of wow effect. And the kind of customers then were buying into where's the wow. But there's been, we feel, a kind of a stagnation in investment of smart buildings. I heard this at this conference last year as well, that there hasn't been the growth that we kind of thought there was. And now the questions we're getting is, okay, where do we start? Okay, maybe this wonderful, complex, huge cumulative effect of all these different technologies, maybe having everything in the building, and I'll show a diagram in a while of how complex it is, maybe it does have a wow effect, but we don't have the budget to build a fancy building every time we have a building. So we have a little bit of money this year. We tried to have a 1-star smart building or a 2-star smart building so they could kind of sequentially kind of understand what to do. So they were really asking, where do we start? And the kind of value proposition, this is a slide we've been using for a while. It's one of the best ways we kind of show. We feel there isn't a massive kind of, again, like I said, a massive value creation, a massive kind of game changer effect by, by the kind of things we talk about, by CO2 sensors making the air in an office building kind of cleaner. And the way we kind of say, it's a bit like a car. You could have kind of automatic gears or a sat-nav or a sunroof. You could have like extra seats or an engine size, bigger engine size, or something to tow a trailer, or you could go for metallic paint and alloy wheels. And if you ask 100 people, and we've done this, you can have two. Which two do you want? Everyone always picks a kind of even spread over all of them. There's no one thing in these 8 things that everyone says, oh, I really want a sunroof. I have to have a sunroof. Someone else wants a sat-nav. And we kind of have had this feeling from speaking to our customers with the kind of different smart building technologies. Which ones do you want? Do you want smart parking? Do you want smart washroom? Would you like noise sensors on the floor of your office building? And there's so many competing technologies, and they're all a little bit, yeah, maybe, that there's a kind of little bit of a stagnation in where people are investing. And because they're finding it difficult to kind of get on the smart building train, they're kind of not investing in anything at all. So then this from our engineering background, and I kind of always say as well, if you hear a boring engineering company like us who talking about user experience, it's not because we woke up one day and fell in love with the idea. It's kind of because the market has kind of pushed us this way. We don't have kind of software that the end users are using, but like kind of Matthew showed as well, we're having to kind of deploy things like smart office apps, or we're project managing kind of indoor navigation and these kind of things. So we kind of see the world this way. This is the kind of stuff on the top that Granlund or the kind of building services engineers think as really important, as having noise sensors, as having humidity sensors, as looking at things like leak detection. So these are the things that kind of get us up in the morning and make us excited. And actually, now we have a dialogue around healthy buildings, and now we have a dialogue around the future of work. There's been a lot of reports that, the cost of a company is 90% staff, 9% rent, and 1% energy. So we kind of see this. We're the kind of guys doing kind of energy efficiency consulting and these kind of things, and it's only the 1%. And the kind of customers, especially that we're seeing in universities and hospitals and offices, they're much more interested in kind of user experience. If you want me to give feedback, it's one button. If you want me to book a meeting room, please don't make me click 5 things in Outlook. Can I have like a hover over the room and click it? It's about saving me time because I need to find a free room. It's not about the room being 5 times better. It doesn't have to have 10 times cleaner air and I have a €3,000 volatile organic compound sensor or whatever the indoor air quality sensors are. Can I find a meeting room to have my Skype in 5 minutes because I'm running around looking for a room? It's about finding car parking spaces. It's around finding a colleague or navigating, or we had in one workshop once where we were talking about, again, CO2 and noise and these kind of things, and someone said, we have lunch restaurants in the office buildings in Finland, and they said, I would love to know the length of the queue. So on my 30-minute lunch break, I don't spend 6 minutes queuing or something like this. So this is kind of what they're much more interested in. And there's a lot of things around visibility as well. We've seen one real estate owner who said they might put solar panels on their roof, but actually they've put smart locks in the apartment building, and the kind of customers were much more interested in the smart locks because when they forget their keys, they have an app. And although they were hugely interested in solar panels, the solar panels kind of sit on the roof and no one notices them. You don't interact with them. So the idea of the building owners and real estate companies are really it's not only about 90% of your costs are on the user side. This is visible. This is the kind of stuff that people see. There's also an expectation that, I don't thank the company I work for the water coming out of the tap when I turn the tap on. I don't thank them for having clean air. We kind of expect these things. It's a given. So the other stuff is what people are interested in. And I think we see a changing expectation of these kind of things because of Uber, because we can press one button and get a taxi, because we can have Foodora, we can press one button and have sushi delivered to fill our last order. And buildings are competing with these changes that have come in kind of different parts of society. The same people using Volt and Foodora and Uber are the same people sitting in office buildings. And the buildings are kind of letting them down. And I know Ella from Siemens is here tomorrow talking about comfy. The kind of Siemens word for this, which I really like, is friction-free. Take away the small little irritants of my day, the things that annoy me, and that's the kind of main focus. So we've kind of been seeing this trend where time is more important than money, so save me time, don't give me a discount. There's a lot of things around enabling me to be healthier, enabling me to be safer, enabling me to have better privacy, enabling me maybe to be sustainable. And then, if in doubt, it's about more choice. It's about different kind of working environments. If you're in a neighborhood with not very nice restaurants, then hey, can you do a deal with Uber Eats that they bring free delivery for 10 orders or more, or something like that? And if you build an app, it needs to be super easy to use, because the kind of things we're doing aren't for evangelists or technology people. There's so many people cannot use QR codes. So if you want to build something, it doesn't even have to be 10 times better. If it's twice as easy or something like that, then that's what people are asking us for. So one of the cases that we've kind of been playing with this lately is a 3,000-person campus in Finland. They kind of wanted to do stuff around improving experience, improving collaboration, and reducing some of their space. And we had a discussion at lunch today about, is collaboration getting too much airtime? Are people talking about it too much? But it's something that I keep bouncing up against. So it's something that we hear about all the time. We have a university nearby who has a KPI called campus encounters. So can they get people out of their individual buildings, and can they design services and spaces where the science guys bump into the business guys who bump into the entrepreneur guys? How many times a week or a month do these people actually pass each other in the corridor? So then the idea here in the Nokia case was they wanted a relatively simple smart office app. They wanted to, like a lot of people have kind of seen these many times, they wanted to show where the free spaces and their colleagues were. They wanted to kind of book a space by seeing where the spaces are and clicking it, or an ad hoc space, you just walk in and it reserves it for you. And then they wanted to kind of search for people if people made their location available, and search for those weird meeting rooms that you get invited to a meeting once a year and you never remember where it is. And the one thing they did was, there was a kind of a challenge on campus. People were annoyed that they couldn't find their colleagues, and people were annoyed that Outlook did feel a bit dated with all this kind of navigating to booking meeting rooms. And so they actually came up with, this was a problem people were finding. And the Office app in the end was an internal spin-off from Nokia. It looks like this on the phone. And actually, it's using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on the phone or laptop. It's pushed to both devices. People are quite happy with it because it was solving a problem. And then it uses iBeacons and Wi-Fi to position people. What we've kind of seen on this project is, because it's actually solved a problem people were facing, because people actually wanted to find spaces, actually wanted to find colleagues, actually wanted to book in a really nice kind of user-friendly way and not using Outlook. They were really happy to download and use the apps. It's quite clever as well because it sits inside Outlook. So if you're in a room on Wi-Fi with your laptop and your phone, it doesn't double count you. It just sees your email address. So we've really seen that having a kind of light, kind of software version of the solution. We don't have a lot of people counting cameras. There's actually no people counting cameras or desk sensors or thermal imaging cameras or anything like that. You can't find people if they don't want to share their location. You can't find people. You can detect where this person works for this team. So the way the privacy is, and the idea of having software and not having it covered in hardware is kind of having a really nice kind of the information coming out of it is really scalable and really interesting. So the idea now is to start using this for not just space efficiency, but to start doing some kind of on-demand cleaning, and to have all the service tickets and all the comments and all the kind of feedback through the app, so that every feedback point comes with embedded location. The other thing they wanted as well was an app for the restaurant, so you could pay for your desk. From your desk, you could see the different things on sale. You could see how busy each kind of restaurant option was, and this was something they really, really wanted. So we were going around talking about, smart lighting and access control and all of these things, and they really just wanted, not to be spending time queuing in the lunch restaurant. And the kind of solutions, such as finding people, such as the one I showed on the previous slide, we can use in the back end. We can, as facility managers, use the data generated by the Smart Office app, but we need to get them to use the app. And in order to get them to use the app, we need to solve an actual problem that they recognize, that they realize. The the main idea from the company was that they really want to have the kind of as many people in time kind of as being mobile. There's very few people. There is some people still desk-based, and they see it going basically to zero over time. They also see it where people are going to be, and a couple of corporates have said this, people are going to be working from home 2 or 3 days a week very soon, or not from the office 2 or 3 days a week very soon. And every hour and every kind of day that you convince or nudge the people to come to the campus, you're kind of winning. And the idea here is that productivity, especially in kind of digital and information companies, productivity isn't hours spent at a desk. It's to do with collaboration. And what we're told is that collaboration doesn't happen in meeting rooms. It doesn't happen in scheduled places. It kind of happens face to face, where you're walking into the building and you see a colleague, or at lunch restaurants or car parks. And they're important things, but not enough to kind of bother someone by phoning them up, or not enough to fill their inbox full of things. It's kind of like, hey, Dave, we're working on this project. We'll come to you in a couple of weeks' time, and it's the thing we were talking about before, and it's kind of reminding people that you need their help in a couple of weeks and these kind of things. Or saying, hey, we finally have started that project we've been talking about for 2 years. And I find this a lot in our work as well. The really important, really busy people, no one wants to bother them. And if you want to get feedback from them or get a comment or something like that, it's much easier to just kind of randomly bump into them in a corridor and speak to them. So the idea here is that there's this kind of pull from what they're seeing, and they want to make the campus kind of friction-free and attractive, enticing. So they want to actually make you have an option to only come to the office once or twice or 3 times a week. If they can convince you or create a kind of a feeling or an experience that is much nicer, then they're going to get more collaboration, and that is in their mind more productive. So they have the Office app, and they have food. Like the last speaker from Sherry was saying, that they're focusing on kind of visitor management, on smart parking, and then have something really interesting on pop-up spaces. So they want to have a couple of spaces in the campus that you can have basically hairdressers or pop-up retail or bike maintenance different times of the year, or ski waxing because we're in Finland, and those kind of things. And and they're really thinking that, hey, I wouldn't go to the office tomorrow, but hey, if I can get someone to look after my dog, great. Or I wasn't going to go to the office tomorrow, but hey, there's a Nike pop-up store and we get a kind of big discount, so I'll go in. And this is the kind of idea that once you move past friction-free, they're really trying to have a pull and make the kind of campus attractive. So then, what we've kind of found from our background as kind of building services, kind of, the kind of the guys doing property management, or the guys doing kind of facility management or energy efficiency, is that it makes so much more sense to kind of do the user experience layer first. So instead of covering the office building in Nokia with sensors just for our space efficiency needs, if we can solve their problem and improve user experience, we get the data in a much more efficient way. It's very light, it's only software and some iBeacons, so that makes sense for us. So the kind of beautiful solutions that we like is something like this. This is a case from Finland where in hospitals and healthcare, you kind of check in with your national ID card. And you don't have to, you're in a big hospital, you don't have to remember kind of, when your appointment kind of is. It's 2:15, is it 2 o'clock? It tells you what room to go to and what time you should be there. It then kind of alerts the doctors, and they use this a lot. If you're late, they'll go to the toilet. They'll spend a little bit of time with the patient before. And then it's used again as kind of a really nice way to kind of track, are people turning up on time, are people turning late, are people turning up at all? And the idea here is that it's much nicer for the user. You're not queuing at reception. You're not having scanning your face for facial recognition or whatever it is. It's just a really nice, simple solution, and it's kind of used in these areas of kind of customer productivity and then management. And these are the solutions that seem really, really nice. We have the same in hospitals as well around indoor navigation. Indoor navigation can make people turn up on time and make the staff more productive, but it also gives the infrastructure for things like asset tracking, smart cleaning, and smart maintenance. The other thing I haven't mentioned is by kind of solving the user experience problems, you tap into other budgets as well. We had Eric today talk about kind of getting funding from human resources. If we talk about just this management layer, this asset tracking and smart cleaning and smart maintenance, it's only ever going to come from the real estate guy's pocket. If we can do things around user experience, around these kind of things, we've seen it come from HR, change management, a budget for collaboration. So our real estate guy who doesn't have a lot of money and isn't spending on smart building, if we can communicate this story to the company, then there's much more investment delivered. This is one of my favorite stories. It kind of shows what happens when you take something from hardwired to digital. It's a hotel company in Finland called Mount Kelvin, and they've basically have been brought into hotels as as customer experience. So they're in, and you can turn the lights on and open the door and open the curtains and all these kind of things with the app. And they also have some little electronic buttons or switches you can just put anywhere. And they came in as a user experience app, but now they're a cleaner management company because the cleaners also want to enter the doors. The cleaners also want to know which room needs to be cleaned. And they also have this really nice example where if you're in bed at 11:30 in the morning and this app is in the hotel room, then they know if the lights are on or if the curtains are closed. And if the lights are off and the curtains are closed, you'll get a phone call offering you a late checkout because they think you're still in bed. And now a company that was kind of brought in to just do user experience in a hotel to make it cool, so you could open the curtains with an app. They're now managing the cleaners, and they're helping the hotel upsell kind of late checkouts. And it's another thing Josef said a moment ago. It's kind of a use case game. I'm a guy who used to design ventilation designs 15 years ago. I didn't think we'd be thinking this way, but now we just think about use cases. It's now about if we create the data and if we integrate stuff, what else can we do with it? So then this is kind of a really quick slide. Then this is kind of the game here. There's so much competing technology. We tried to do a kind of layering of where you start and where you get to, and then we have the kind of user experience layer, but this tells me one thing. It just tells this is what our customers are facing. There's so much there. Even if you do a smart building, and even if you do user experience, someone's going to ask about predictive maintenance or can we buy energy with blockchain? There's so much happening, and we haven't even added digital twins and this kind of stuff. There's so much happening that the customers are really happy to go through the kind of software layer of kind of user experience and any kind of infrastructure or hardware that supports that. And that's where, in our experience, they're starting. So this is kind of what we've been saying. There's two separate budgets. There's user experience and there's smart. And actually, if you do the user experience first, the data that comes from user experience kind of helps to, it reduces your budget. And I've been trying to think of kind of just the main things. I think user experience is winning because it creates more value, because it's more visible. Sometimes it's software related and not hardware, so it's a little bit cheaper. There's a wider available budget. When it's digitized and software related, it's kind of more usable. It becomes a data and a use case game. And just be aware from a smart building perspective how many options you're competing with. Be aware of the kind of diagram with all the stuff. There's so much out there that's what our kind of customers are facing. So, understand that they're having trouble navigating through it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're getting down to the end, so we need time, but any questions urgently for Ken? Okay.
Super.
Super.
Thanks,
Good
Bob.
job. Thank you, Ken.